It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Well, a good afternoon to you, gentlemen. Nielsen, Cass, and Gage are with you. And McLaren has lost their technical director. Oh, sorry, wrong podcast. Wrong podcast. I thought we were doing the Pit Stop Pals. I'm so confused. Late night, guys. Late night. Cass, you were on post game. I watched the game at home and then had to do a bunch of prep for the show this morning. Gager, you were on Oilers Plus last night. You guys, how do you guys operate on less sleep? Because I was born in the darkness. Like, I operate on less sleep. But how do you guys do it?
Not well. Not well.
You just looked tired today, Cass.
I told Tommy, I texted him after, because like I did 2 segments yesterday on the post game show, and I texted him after the first. I'm like, man, I'm gonna try to sound coherent. Like, I'm sure if I went back and listened, I'm like, I probably made no sense. Yesterday. So yeah, I don't necessarily do well, but I should be used to it. I mean, you think after 3 kids, but it was just even, it's just been a whole bunch of those days this week. So it's been lots, which is okay. I mean, it is what it is. You deal with it.
Gager, what about you, buddy? Usually get pretty early, especially for F1 races.
Yeah, the thing is, my wife and daughter were gone. So there's a dance competition in Lake Louise. So I had some extra juice. We just said before how I got home. It was late. It was just my boy, dog. I thought I would get into bed and watch a few episodes of Mando. And no, just fell right asleep.
Like
useless night. Wasn't able to take advantage of anything.
That's not useless, Gager. That's not useless at all. That sounds like a glorious night to me.
Yeah, but you got to take your.
I'm with Gager. I like if my family was gone for a night and I had to work and then fell asleep immediately, I would be pissed off at myself. I'd be so angry. Angry.
And now it's terrible because the old adage, cats away, the mice will play. And by play, I mean I got to get this place looking like a show home over the next 4 days before she gets home. So I just thought that was my one night cast. That was my window. Now I'm Mr. Clean. It's gonna be last minute this time.
Last minute clean job.
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah. That's how it's gonna be. That's how it always is. All right, well let's dive into the game. We got a bunch of things I want to discuss today, but let's just start with the game. Cass, finding a way to win once again. McDavid, brilliant. Nuge, huge. Draisaitl, ridiculous passes. Some breakdowns that could create a little bit of concern. And I saw in the inbox today, they certainly did. Like, they didn't give them many shots, but they shot themselves in the foot, I guess, yeah. Cass, right? Like, that's the way you look at it.
It was almost like, you remember early in the season where it was like they were playing solid hockey, but then they just do really dumb stuff like 5 times a night and would end up in the back of their net. It kind of felt like that. Which, I mean, listen, they've still been winning games and playing for the most part really good hockey, so I'm not like freaking out concerned about it. But like, I mean, look at Evan Bouchard's goal where you had the puck for like 10 seconds and you just let your pocket get absolutely picked when you knew a guy was there. I mean, there was no question there was someone right on you, and you still just get absolutely picked in that instance. And so that one was bad. Darnell Nurse not realizing that there was any kind of pressure, thinking he's just going to be able to pick up a puck and freewheel and stepping out like 4 feet outside of his lane, like taking a wide angled approach to the puck. Then he gets beat to the puck. It's just, there's just things like that where you're just like, ooh, that wasn't very good. But at the end of the day, you still get the win. And as you said, Connor was really good. Leon was really good, especially in overtime. And Nuge is doing Nuge things and just still shouting down all the haters. I haven't heard someone call for a trade for Nuge in a while, which is probably a good thing.
Actually, a couple of days ago, somebody said, Dusty, if they get close to the cup and come up short, would you consider trading Nuge for a goalie? So it's still out there, but with the season he's having, I mean, putting up close to he's going to take a run 100 points. He's on pace for 100 points right now, which would just be amazing. He's going to, 90 is a lock. He's at 88 right now after 2 more goals last night. Let's just follow up on because Cash, you brought up Bouchard, you brought up Nurse. So Gage, I'm going to throw it to you here. And then Cash, you can follow up on this. they tinkered with the blue line a bit last night, right, Gager? Like you saw Desharnais get out there with Nurse and stuff. What did you think of that? And what do you think it may lead to come playoff time?
It looked like guys that hadn't played together for the first 10 minutes. There seemed to be communication issues, but I like the fact that if there was any point in the season to try that, where they are and where it stands and how close. I love how Woodcroft said game 83 is. I like him tinkering with it to see if there's something there. There's some urgency still, and I don't understand why that it's not in Evan Bouchard's game at certain points. It's there sometimes, and it's not there, but it's just not there on a consistent basis. And I think with Desharnais, you really know what you're getting shift to shift. Like, it's pretty amazing what he's been able to accomplish in his short career, being basically a 26-year-old rookie and figuring out how to play and succeed in the NHL. Man, he's been a shining star this latter part of the season with the Oilers. So I can see how, hey, let's maybe give this guy a little bit more responsibility and see what happens. So I'd like to see them do it again, really. And I wouldn't mind seeing it at the beginning of next game when it really matters against a team that, you know, that pounces on mistakes and that'll make you pay, like the stuff and the importance of the game. So that's against the Coyotes, it's kind of a training camp kind of scenario. Saturday night's real deal. Let's see what happens then.
I liked that they tried it though, and I think now is the time. I mean, you don't want to try that in game 83, but to say even guys like, and the reason part of me is okay with this, and it didn't quite register my brain yesterday because I was too tired last on the post game show when we were talking about it, and when Tommy asked about it, is that you want to get guys some different looks if someone gets injured. Like, what happens if someone gets hurt in the playoffs? And you need to have some different pairings. You want guys to be comfortable at least a little bit with each other, knowing how the other guy plays, knowing what pairs seem to work well together. So to me, it's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that you want to do it. Yes, you know, probably the last couple games of the year, you want to go with your playoff ready lineup. Absolutely. But for now, on the D side, well, giving guys a couple shifts or a little bit of a different look, especially if you're not playing well in a game. Absolutely. Like, let's get that sorted out. Just even for playoffs, if you have to, if someone gets banged up or whatever the situation may be, it just gives you guys a little bit more comfort. And I think that's a good thing.
Connor McDavid last night. I mean, we'll get to number 60 here in a second. Gager, I got to get your take as a goalie on having a guy bounce a puck off your head into the net and then trying it again after he'd already scored on it that way. If he does that twice, that's just silly. So take us through the whole process of not having that happen to you, and how does it feel when it does? And did anybody ever shoot a puck off your helmet and in?
I'll get to that part first. Not off my helmet, but it was a different time back then, Dusty. We didn't reverse VH anything.
Down, yeah.
We stood up,
yeah.
Right? So the only way that guys, and they call it the Shanahan, it would be that little notch between the post and your knee because it was flexed. That's where guys tried to shoot in my day. And it sucked in the press box last night because Speck and Matty, as soon as that went in, they said, "Hey, Gager, you ever let in one like that?" And I looked over, and you know goddamn well I let goals in like that. so we reminisced of a Stacey Roosts in Minnesota. He ripped one right in that spot, and God, it's the worst feeling ever, Dusty, because you know as soon as the player gets to a certain point and he's shooting it, and you're in a position where you're basically a sitting duck. And Roost shot it. I go, "You little prick." And I knew it was, and there was nothing I could do. Like, I was pushed so far up and it hit and went in. But I mean, Connor McDavid, he's got mind control over goalies right now. You don't think every other goalie in the league is aware if he starts going behind the net? And all that does, which is brilliant, is keeps goalies honest now. They are hyper focused on Connor McDavid having the puck in the corner on his stick, trying to make sure he doesn't roof it short side on them and they don't care if Connor goes backdoor, if he can find anyone.
Right? Backdoor isn't on them. That's why they don't mind. But he's done, like, I know it was off the head, but he's done a couple, like in the last 3 weeks, he's probably tried that 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Like banking it off the back. And let's say I think that I can recall it's now been 4 times, like 2 yesterday, and then 2 a little while ago. He's 50% on it. Like he's 50% on those. Like he scored 2 out of 4. One banked off the back, one banked off the head. So Gage, you are absolutely right. Is that goalies are going to be talking about this, that, hey, you got to be aware that he's going to be looking for this, which will stop them from cheating to the pass, which if McDavid doesn't see that daylight over the shoulder, or they start snugging up to that post a little bit more, that through pass is going to be there, or the goalies aren't going to be able to lend their assistance to, with their stick to try to stop that cross crease pass. So, I mean, brilliant by him. Not really anybody else. I mean, other guys I know can do it. Like there are skilled players that can and will and do try to do that, but he's just such a threat right now that he's it's like he learned. It's like, oh, wait a second. I actually can shoot the puck. And good things happen when I shoot the puck, and it still opens up those passing opportunities. This is great. And everyone else in the league is just suffering for it, which is great for us because we get to watch it and cheer for him. So it's crazy. I love it.
Just a men's league goalie public service announcement. Guys, just move a little bit over, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be trying this shot. He's going to be wrapping it off your ears trying to do this thing. Because
Gager, if you're ever out there, I'm shooting head high the entire time anyways. I don't know
your
what the
hardest.
half of the net is.
Where you could just slip one down low and it would go right in, but oh no.
Nope. I put it by your ears every time.
At the world's longest hockey game, it was like fucking minus 30 out. And when I'm like, last time I played in that, every time I scored a goal, it was like worth worth 250 or $300 because I had a bunch of listeners who donated $1 for every goal. So I was shooting for 11 straight days. I was shooting and came in on a rush. Goalie kind of came out, puck went in behind the net, and he had his back right to me on the right, but he was like a foot off the post. And my natural instinct was, I'm just hammering this off his back into the net. And I peppered off his back into the net. The moment I did it, I was like, oh, that's such a dick move. These goalies are out there standing there for like 6 hours, and he turns around. And we all got along pretty well. Play against a bunch of guys for 8 hours at a time. Some of you are going to get on their nerves. But he turned around, and it wasn't like one of those polite things. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I didn't mean to do it. So I got a little PTSD in that situation now. I felt so bad for that dude. That was just very mean of me. All right, let's get to the 60th. Because there's so much to break down here. The first Draisaitl pass, McDavid misses, gets mad, slams a stick, circles around. Draisaitl gets it again from his knees, back to McDavid again. And then McDavid goes in, same move, patience, upstairs. Cass, Rashog asked me on my show this morning, like, is that just natural instinct for McDavid? Or when he gets that puck a second time, does he go, Ingram's going to think I won't do the same move, so I'm going to do the same move, and I feel like that's how his processor works. But yeah. How do you break that down?
Exactly how it works. Is exactly how it works. The second he got that puck, he knew what he was doing, and it wasn't like he had to sit and think and contemplate it. It was like he got the puck in another breakaway, and his brain, whether it was fully cognizant or it was just the decision that was made, he knew the second he got that puck that he was doing the same thing. He knew it because he was just like, he's probably not going to say. I mean, it's like. In some instances like that, it's like, baseball in that, there's a little bit of a mental game, like in choosing the pitch, right? Yep. And it's like, oh, I bet he won't, I threw curve. I bet he doesn't think I'm going to go back to the curve again here. And that's exactly what it was. It's just, it's just like playing like when I play rock, paper, scissors with my wife to see who does like the chore that neither of us wants to do, or whatever it is. It's like, well, you won with the first one, and it's a little bit of a mental thing. Like, I bet she thinks she doesn't. I don't go back to it again here, but on a scale, obviously, and a speed that is happening at such a fast pace. So yeah, I mean, it's a total mind game with that, where he was like, he thinks I'm going to do something different, and he just does the same thing, and it works. But pretty crazy that it just happened that fast, back to back, like it was just boom boom, which makes it even better that he did the same thing. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I almost had a breakaway once, almost, but I didn't. It was close.
Almost had a breakaway once. You must have snuck way in behind the DA.
Oh, it was no. It's funny. It was
out of the box.
It happened in. I'll tell you. It was in Colorado, and so it was. I can't remember if it was. I bet have been 50 and 07. That was changing. So Danny Heatley coming off the ice, and it was a 2-on-1 back against us. And he was like way late. Like, so it was like a change of like, I don't want this minus change that was happening. So I was way behind the play stepping on. So, obviously you're moving pretty quick because like, I got to get back into my own zone. So I was moving pretty quick. And then the play just turned up the ice the other way. And there was like a chip out of the zone. And I just had a good angle at it and, picked it up. And it wasn't a full breakaway. Like I had someone on me on my right hip, but I had enough to be able to get a shot off. It was a good shot, good blocker save. I couldn't pull it. Like I didn't have too much room to try to actually make a move. It was more just, get a quality shot. But I get back to the bench and I'll never forget Kyle Brodziak just being like, Cass, I've never seen you skate that fast before. it's like there's daylight, like breakaway, almost breakaway. But that's my one almost breakaway story. Never happened aside from that. But
so not only almost a breakaway, almost scored on a breakaway.
Almost scored on a breakaway. So, yeah. All I had was short side. I tried to go upstairs. He made it good. Like he had to pop up his blocker like this and got a piece of it, and it just went over the net.
Do you remember who it was?
Which goalie was that? I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Let's find this information out.
Yeah, I'm going to YouTube Matt Cassian's almost breakaway. And
all you got to do is
good luck finding it. Yeah,
Dusty. All you got to do is Google who had the best blocker in the NHL back then, and then
I could find out.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up here. We'll.
Gager, take us inside Ingram's head in that situation. Like you just kind of stopped him. And now he's coming right back in on you again. Are you thinking he's going to go same move? Or are you thinking, he's going to try to go backhand this time?
I don't think so. I think Connor McDavid, like his brain processes it so fast. He has a certain few moves he does and then makes his decisions from that point. It's so fast. It's even faster than what you guys think. I really think he doesn't really go in with a plan. He does a few things and then makes adjustments to the goalie, because he kind of did the same thing, but he got goalie swimming at that. Ingram was swimming at that point, and then just realizing what happened before, taking his time, step to the side and roofing it. It's so hard with those types of guys. Like I told that story, I played with like Pavel Bure in the summertime. He would get it would be thousands of breakaways, and he did something different every single time, right? Most guys have just a few bullets in the chamber and they go to the old faithfuls. He just can recognize what the goalie's giving him and makes adjustments from there.
It was Giguère.
Giguère, good blocker.
There's not a lot of room there anyway, Cass, with those huge ass the upper gear there.
Shoulders,
There was not a corner to shoot at on J.S. Giguère. I don't think that was. I think that's probably pretty fair. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, anything else from last night's game? I mean, Draisaitl, that pass to Nuge, and then the other one to McDavid. I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. Gager, what else?
Skinner, man.
Yeah,
he was awesome. He was.
He wasn't that busy. He wasn't that busy.
But some of the saves were tough,
solid.
Man. That's a tough game to play in when you're not busy and stay focused. What he was able to accomplish, man. They had to do something special to get the puck past him again. Like you have to make a really good play to score on Stuart Skinner right now. That's all you need. That it's unreal how this kid is playing. I was sitting beside Tommy, and we were like, "Geez, that's a good save." Like second period, he had make some really good saves. Like they had some good looks, and not a lot of stuff. And what I love about it is he either gobbles it up or he controls the rebound. Man,
there's not a lot of scrambling around Stuart Skinner, is there?
Well, and even he made one save where there was traffic in front and he was battling. He got out to the top of the crease, and I think, remember, I was talking about like Jack Campbell, not his confidence was kind of wavering, and when you can't see the puck, you start to sink back into the net. Like Stuart Skinner's not like that at all. He stays out to the point of the deflection to make it, like we talk about how big he seems in the net. That's the reason why he gets right to where the danger is coming from, and then to not see the puck but still have the dexterity to control the rebound. Man, he didn't get a lot of credit, and I know it's because of the shot that he did face, but man, that was a really good game by Stuart Skinner.
I've mentioned it a couple times, I think on here and on pre and post game show, but the difference to me right now between Skinner and Campbell is exactly what you said, Gager. So I'm happy you said it. Is that Stuart Skinner is oozing confidence in his play style. Like he's playing aggressive, not unnecessarily, like not risky. When I say aggressive, I don't mean risky. I just mean he's trusting in himself and in his technique and in his positioning, and it's leading him to be aggressive on things. So, I think back the shining example for me right now, and I think it was Jamie Benn against Dallas, where he like lunges out at him instead of just lunging back to his post. It's like, no, he's going to go at the guy to cut down on his space, trusting in himself, his athleticism and his positioning to stuff a guy and make a save. And same thing on the deflections, where he's more out at the top of the crease. He's at the point of the deflection, swallowing things up. And even when he doesn't see the puck, he's putting himself in a position where the rebounds are going to go to more manageable areas. Yeah. And completely different than how Campbell's playing right now, where he's backing up, doesn't have that confidence. You don't exactly know where the rebound's going to go, and he's just hoping it hits him, versus Skinner being like, yeah, screw this, it's going to hit me. Like, I'm going to put myself in a position where it's going to hit me. And just a mindset of doing that. So I agree. I thought he played a good game. It wasn't like an unbelievable game, but in a game that can be tough for goalies when you're not that busy, I thought he was real solid.
That, I think it was the first period. He made a one-timer save on his right-hand side where it came across, and most goalies would be reaching at that point, like it was a quick play. He just came across gentle, covered up the post, and just made it look so easy. Like it's crazy, man. I hate him.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when I said last year and the year before that Stuart Skinner was going to be the goalie of the future? Do you guys remember that? Do you remember that?
They didn't really have many other options, Cass.
No, but you guys were like, I've said for a while, I'm like, hey, like, listen, he's going to be the guy. I still think that. I mean, and I think now, fortunately, you have him at a contract price that's pretty. If you would have got to see more of him last year, and they could have given him more last year. If you would have got to see more of him last year, I wonder if you're sitting here with Campbell 5x5 right now, or if it was somebody else. Maybe
right? Like,
it might be somebody else, but you still, I think. Yeah, I mean, he would have had to have played way more last year, because some of the games last year, like, he didn't play too many against, let's call it the like playoff heavy, the best teams. And so that's probably where they're like, okay, or is this just, some adrenaline going, or is he going to be able to do it consistently? Which I think was a fair question. Like, it's a fair thought that you didn't want to bet it all on that. But yeah, I mean, if you would have known that he would have been playing like he is now, I don't see that you would be paying Jack Campbell. You still would need to bring in a veteran guy.
For sure. Certainly. But it could have been a different level of a guy, right? Like,
so, it could have been a different level of a guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even maybe not as hurried to give Campbell 5 years, and you give Campbell 3 years or something like that, right?
So, you give him 3 and maybe, I mean, you might have more negotiating power too from that position.
100%.
Just say like, hey, we don't need you at 5. We got a guy.
Does his play, like, if we just fast forward, does his play make Ken Holland have the flexibility to move, if possible, Jack Campbell and get maybe even a good young prospect goalie to come in and be the kind of backup? Or Are you like I'm in the mindset I keep Jack Campbell. Like,
yeah, I don't think you can move that deal right now.
I don't mind. I mean, I know it's a
I think
lot
you got to
of money
give him
for a
another
guy
year, right, Gager, to see how it is. Like
Yeah.
if we're talking about the same Jack Campbell next year, well, then you start talking buyout, giving a pick to get rid of him type of thing. I think it's whether you. I know some people are saying Jack Campbell. I mean, I see it online. I see it on the show. But see it here. Jack Campbell should never play another game in an Oilers uniform. It's not realistic. I know everybody's fired up. But, Gager, you'd have to give this guy another at least 3/4 of next season. And if you get to the deadline and he's garbage and you're like, we got to make a cup run again and you got to have somebody there with Skinner, then maybe you try to make a move. But there's got to be some patience there next year.
Oh, yeah, I do think there is. But I'm just wondering if something comes along. I wonder.
But
I guess it all
will it
depends
though?
on how Stuart Skinner performs in the playoffs, right? Like, really,
But you think something's going to come along, like to move Campbell?
who knows?
I don't think
something
so.
might.
I
You
don't
never know. Dude, Ken Holland's done, like, for all the crap that he. I actually was. It was funny. I was chatting with a guy in the alumni room last night, and he was saying, "I don't like Holland," and I was like, and then we got into a little fun argument in the alumni room because he's done exactly what the Oilers have needed, and he was going back to old stuff. I go, hey, he can't live in the past, man. Like, this is
he's
set
filled
them
a
up to
lot
do
of their
something.
needs. He's missed on Campbell a little bit so far, but they got him a defenseman. Move the Puljujärvi contract, move the Cassian contract. Like, even some of the mistakes that he's made, he's gone out and paid the price or made a clever move to correct them, right? So, there's the positives with Ken Holland very much outweigh the negatives, and I think sometimes people don't view it that way. I don't think. Yeah, that's a fair take, right, Cass? Like,
I think so.
Yeah, I
no,
think so.
he's. Well, if we have to say that because the team has moved in a positive direction.
Yeah, big time.
It really has.
Right, he's
And-
delivered
and
playoff
I know
teams,
there's-
which they couldn't do.
Yep. And I know there's people that would point to some of the contracts and go like, I don't know about that one. I don't know about the Campbell one. And it's like, okay, well, some of them you're kind of forced into some of those positions a little bit. But if we look at the overall body of work, and even right now, early returns on Ekholm is a huge, huge one. He has slowly chipped away at trying to address some of those needs. And he's done it in a manner that hasn't been, in my opinion, overly high risk. He hasn't. Now, are there some things where you're kind of like, I wish you would have done a little bit differently, even thinking to years past, like Duncan Keith and that trade and no retained money and some of the things where you're like, okay, like some of them, maybe you're like, okay, that wasn't the best, but it's been way more good than bad, I would say.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. No GM's going to be perfect.
No.
Everybody has misses.
Yeah.
No, all the GMs that text in every day are perfect.
Gager, a quick task for you for Monday's episode. I want you to power rank the 8 goalies in the Western Conference playoff picture.
Ooh.
Hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts on where Skinner kind of sits there. Hey, Cass, that'd be fun. I think that'd be fun.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's
All
a good
right.
one. And then we can criticize him and tell him
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't know
Gager,
what you're
this list
talking
is
about.
bullshit. This is awful. Worst list ever. Why did we let you do this? Like, just that's how lists are. That's what lists are made for. Lists are made to be critiqued. NHL players poll. I want to dive into this a little bit. I think the question was, and I'll double down on the question here in just 1 second. Let me bring it up. But I think it was one player who you think would be the most impactful in a must-win game, and I'll get the wording correctly, but I think it's close to that, and 59.4% or something of players said Connor McDavid. Cass, are you surprised that that number is not higher?
It's probably old guys that picked like Crosby. I haven't seen the rest on the list, but they probably picked Crosby and some of the other guys.
Yeah, I'm going to bring
I
it up
think
right now.
The reason that they would do that would be because of the playoff success thus far. That would be the only reason. Because they haven't seen Connor in playoffs enough, deep in playoffs enough, winning cups yet to where that has been what they're saying. I'd have to.
Here's the exact wording. I'll give you the list here. In a must-win game, which forward do you think would be most impactful? 59.3% of the vote, and this is a players poll, 59.3% of the vote said Connor McDavid. The next closest was Crosby at 11. McKinnon at 8.4, Kucherov at 2.3, Patrice Bergeron at 1.8, and then a small handful of the Maple Leafs voted for Austin Matthews at 1.3%.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is the playoff success, and that's with Crosby. I mean, he's had playoff success. He's been around for a long time. You probably had more veteran, older guys voting than younger guys in the poll. Typically, that's how they work. The old guys vote first, and sometimes the young guys don't even get a vote when they do those polls. Like they poll all the veteran players, and so it's not overly surprising to me. And really, if you think about it, like McKinnon is pretty fresh off a Stanley Cup win, so yeah, that's going to influence it. Crosby has the Stanley Cup pedigree. Penguins made the playoffs however many years in a row. So it doesn't surprise me. Really, it's still pretty dominant by McDavid at that level. Like if you look at that percentage, like that's still significant.
To be 48% higher than Sidney Crosby, if you look at it that way, that's a pretty big bump. That's a pretty big gap bump right there. Yeah. Gage, any thoughts on this?
No, I'm just kind of browsing the list too. I find the one, which player do you least enjoy playing against, but would like to have on your team? Brad Marchand is 36%, but then Connor McDavid is 15.6. Like that's something else because they're two, well, like not saying Marchand's a skilled player, but I think it's because of his. But you see who else is on that list, Gager? Well, Tom Wilson and Matthew Tkachuk. So there's three agitators and McDavid. Agitators.
Yeah. McDavid's just because he's so good. He makes the list. It's like just because he's just so stinking good. It's not like he's annoying. It's not like he's spearing you and trying to lick you and all that stuff. It's like no, he's just that good. That's more. I would take more pleasure in my peers voting that for me in that category if I wasn't an agitator than anything else. That just shows you how good he is. That's crazy. That's crazy. I used the comparison today on the show. It's like playing Div 4 Rec League, and you come out and you're in warm up and you look down and the other team's brought Cass out to play in Div 4, and I'm sitting there going, what the hell? Like McDavid has done that to the National Hockey League this year, which is insane. Like you look on the other side of the ice, you're like, oh, that guy's in the wrong division. That guy should be playing higher. Like that's how it looks to me, which is just ridiculous because we didn't say that about Ovi and we didn't say that about Sid. Like we're saying it about McDavid. I used the word transcendent. Well, I couldn't figure out the word today. Somebody texted in and said the word you're looking for, Dusty, is transcendent. And that's kind of how I view, like we're trying to figure out what's beyond generational talent. Like what's next? And he's transcending the game, right? Like he's transforming the way you view elite players in the game. That's a fair description, isn't it, Cass? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a really good word. That's a big word. Insane. Big word, very big word, a good word for it. Yeah. I can't spell it, but I can say it kind of. I prefer the Matrix, Dusty. Which he's. You like that reference? Sees the code. I think he sees the code when he plays. Neil. Yeah. It's all green and black. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, somebody's got to put together the video of like a camera view of McDavid, but all the players and stuff being code. That would be very cool to see. Somebody's got to be able to do that. Cool. Boys, before we wrap, I do want your thoughts on, we saw, Gager, you were texting me during it, Ohtani versus Trout showdown a couple of nights ago, and it's led to a lot of discussion about this best on best in the National Hockey League. And I know the NHL, they don't want to have it before the season because, you heard what McDavid said this week. They've been wanting to do it for 10 years. They just can't seem to get this out. Cass, like I look at what happened in the World Baseball Classic, and I think it's great for Major League Baseball, not just baseball as a sport, but for the league itself. Does Gary very much a positive for the National Hockey League? Well, you broke up on my screen a little bit, so I missed some of that. But I was just saying, did you think Gary Bettman doesn't see this as a positive? I think Gary Bettman is ultimately concerned about money, which is his job to have the league make money. And he views it as maybe too high risk, or he views it as just a leverage point to try to make more money off of the players. Like I don't know. I know the risk is like with injuries and that, and the timing is going to be difficult to do from a timing standpoint, because you would have to do it before the season starts. That's really the only time you could do it. But I think he probably looks at it and says, well, baseball's a different game. Your risk of injury probably less.
Guys did get hurt though for the season.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, probably less injury. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to. I don't really get it. I mean, I'm assuming he has to say he doesn't think they're going to make enough money, or the risks outweigh the financial benefits for it, or it's just a long-term use of leverage.
That's really what I think it is. That's what it is, right? He wants something in return, like, because it can't be anything else. It makes no freaking sense. Gager, anything on this?
Yeah, it's got to be that, because, man, I couldn't believe when I saw the batting lineup and the situation in the bottom of the ninth, right? Like, I'm going, oh my God, is this going to come down to Trout and Ohtani? And I mean, Ohtani made sushi out of Trout at that at bat. Unbelievable. It was one of the greatest moments in sports. I don't care. It was so cool to watch. Not only that, but their teammates, and
well, that just makes it even better. That makes it even better.
Oh, it was a one-off. It was a unicorn, man. Like, that's not going to happen again. Like, that was in that situation, bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth, 3-2 count. Like, the two best players who are also teammates. It's impossible to script it like that, and it happened.
Like, that's what I guess I was trying to compare what it would be in a best on best. I guess you kind of it would be Canada and maybe the U.S. and Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid going at, like, and I don't even know if that's
you'd have to do like you'd have to put it like 3-on-3 overtime, like with like McDavid and whoever else on the Canadian side, and then Matthews and whoever else. Like, it'd be like, let's say it's like McDavid, McKinnon,
and McCarr.
And McCarr on the Canadian side, and then you have, like, who would be on the U.S. right now? You'd have like Matthews,
Kachuk,
maybe a Kachuk,
and Fox,
Fox, or like a Quinn Hughes or something. Like Quinn. that would kind of be like that, right? Like in overtime, where it's just like, okay, no, 3-on-3, sudden death in overtime, in a gold medal, like to win it. With those guys on the ice, but even then it's different, because
so
it's not
dramatic.
But that would be pretty. It'd be crazy.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but it'd be like you go. I don't know why I keep cut up here. If Draisaitl was on the Americans, and it was Draisaitl versus McDavid 3-on-3 for a gold medal, that'd be incredible.
Or if you had like a Team Europe or something with Draisaitl on there,
yeah, that'd be interesting. All right, boys, that's going to do it for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Gager, you get to work on your homework assignment for Monday's episode, and we'll look forward to that. Have a great weekend, boys.
All right, boys.